Page 22, Santa Lucia. At the top of the page, they are introducing the repeat sign. The repeat sign, simply put, is a thin and thick bar line together. It's like the end of the piece is a thin and thick bar line, except the repeat sign also has two dots. So you've got to have all of that for a repeat sign. You see a repeat sign on the second line between the last two measures. At the beginning of the piece, you see a repeat sign facing the other direction. We call that a reverse repeat sign. And that simply means that when you repeat it, you go back to a reverse repeat sign, if there is one, and play from there. Now, in this piece, it's unnecessary. In fact, you won't find too many pieces out there that have a reverse repeat sign at the very beginning of a piece, simply because it's redundant. You see, a repeat sign means go back to the beginning and play it again. But there is a caveat to that, and that means you go back to the beginning and play it again unless there's a reverse repeat sign. In which case you go back to the reverse repeat sign and go from there. I could have said it the other way. I could have said when you get to a repeat sign, you go back to a reverse repeat sign if there is one and play it from there. If there is no reverse repeat sign, then you go back to the beginning and play it from there. Either way, the idea is it's there. The point is you don't need a reverse repeat sign at the beginning of a piece because you're going to go back there anyway. Okay? They're doing it here to show you what it is, so I can waste a lot of time trying to explain it to you. This piece has pedal, and the pedaling, again, they're doing it just the same as they did the previous video. You push the pedal down right after you play the last notes in that measure. You look at the second, third measure of the first line, for instance. Push it down right after you play the last note in the measure in the left hand, and you lift it up either with the next notes, the first notes in the next measure, or right after you play them. I recommend right after you play them, and hopefully I don't need to demonstrate that right now, but you get the idea. I would like to talk about the fingering to encourage you to use different fingers on repeated notes most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. I mean, right off the bat you have two G's. Now this is an expressive love song. It's just a real sweet. If you want to use the index finger on both, go for it. There's nothing wrong with it. But I have a habit when I see stuff like that, either to do a 1-2 or a 2-1, depending on the situation. Here it'd be a 2-1. Starting with the last note in the first measure, the first eighth note, little finger, the next C, 4, then the B, 3, and then the half note B, 2. I'm just going to write down the fingers. Here I did a 1 because it's easier to reach a 1. I'm playing a 2 here, so I did a 1 here. And then a 4, 3, 2, and a 3 is nice because you need a 1 on the next note. You get the idea, I hope. Third line down. Second measure, they're saying a 4. I recommend a 5. 4, 3, and then you can reach the 2 more easily. Now, in the fourth measure, the third line, those eighth notes, I recommend on the second C, use fourth finger. So we're here, 4 here, 4 here, and a 4 on the half note D. You see the idea, you see the pattern? I mean, they're telling you on the two G's to use a 1-4. We're just doing a similar, we're doing a 2-4 or 3-4 or something on the two C's. Takes a little practice to get it, but as I said, you'll be so much further later on if you can learn to do this and learn to do it without looking at the keyboard eventually. Fourth line down, I recommend a fifth finger on that D. The last line is similar fingering to what you already heard, except the last two measures. The last two measures, I recommend a 3 on the first D, and And then for the other two Ds, 3, 4. The left hand just has the chords. I don't see anything else in here. It has a writ at the bottom. I'm going to ignore that, playing with a metronome. I'll give us 3 counts. Let's play this together. Here we go. 1, ready, go.